This is Russell Dobular here, on the way over to the Brooklyn Paramount where Pod Save America is showing. And we're going to find out who is paying a lot of money to come see Pod Save America. So what brings you out here to Pod Save America?
We are big fans of the podcast and big fans of the show and big fans of Jon Favreau.
Would you consider voting for Donald Trump?
Not unless there was a gun to my head.
If they decide to swap out Joe Biden, who'd you like to see him get swapped out by?
I really don't have a second choice because it's not going to happen.
It was a big movement not to vote for Joe Biden. What do you say to that?
I am Irish by heritage, hence my ring. And I think the Irish demonstrated that you can disagree with somebody and even fight with them, but then eventually agree with them. The problem with the Israeli-Palestinian situation is that for both of them, the elimination of the other is the objective. And I don't see anything to reconcile that. And I don't really understand how anyone can protest on either side.
Okay, so what brought you out to see Pod Save America?
Because John Lovett makes me laugh like nobody else.
What about you?
Oh, I'm her plus one.
Okay. All right, so who paid? Did you pay?
I'm a public defender, so I let the hedge fund guy pay.
Now, you saw Julian Assange just got out of prison. Now, you're in the legal profession. Do you feel that he was a political prisoner or was he a traitor?
Can you be both?
Do you feel he was both?
I kind of feel like he's both. You know, my father was a naval officer, so I understand he was doing stuff. He was both. He was a political prisoner, and he could be a traitor and also be doing things for the common good. With your definition of treason.
Okay, so I am assuming you're both voting for Joe Biden.
My vote is solidly a vote against former President Trump.
Mine's a vote for Biden. I actually think he's been a pretty transformative president. People are hung up on his age, but he's been one of the most progressive presidents in the last 60 years. It's fair to compare him to LBJ. And so you might not like his age, you might not like where he's coming from, but he's done some pretty profound things. And I think his heart's in the right place. And yes, it's concerning that he is as old as he is. There are lots of and I'm, as a Gen Xer, I'm upset that nobody in Gen X it seems will ever get elected. However, I think that he's been a good president. So it's not a vote against Trump. It's a vote for Biden, on my part.
Okay, what do you feel he's done that's transformative?
I mean, the stuff that he's all this, the infrastructure package that he passed, which Trump ran on, which Trump couldn't get passed. He's and just the work he's tried to do. We got vis-a-vis student loans and things that he's passed a lot of blanket legislation that's done a lot of good things for people and has put money, environmental legislation. He's thinking about things and he listens to people. He was in Congress long enough to listen to what people have to say, to understand where he doesn't have expertise, and to ask people what their input is. That's my opinion. Pelosi's older than him, and I would trust Nancy Pelosi with the nuclear secrets. Age is relative, and yeah, he looks a little frail, but we elected Reagan. He had Alzheimer's disease, so I don't know.
Some people say Biden has it.
Some people do. I wouldn't be one of them, but at the same time, I don't know. We didn't know about President Reagan.
So you mentioned Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi outperforms all the best money managers in the world every year. Do you think that's insider trading, or do you think she's got a Rain Man gift for stocks?
Sure, there's some insider information, but anybody who's in a position of power is privy to information. Yeah.
Okay.
It's only insider insider trading if you get caught.
What brought you here?
I'm just really, entertained and informed by the team's opinions from the old Obama administration. I think they're well spoken, and I think it's informative.
Are you going to be voting for Biden in November?
Yeah. Yes, I will.
Do you have any concerns about his age?
Not really. I mean, he's old, but if you look at it globally, I think there's a lot of elderly leadership. I mean, would I prefer someone younger? Yeah, but given the alternatives, being a very mean grandpa and a more kind of competent state fellow with, I don't know, concerns of the American people at heart, I would go for Biden. Yeah.
Okay. What policies has Biden enacted that you've really liked?
Well, I think the IRA, I think that's really important. I think it's the biggest investment in climate change. It could have been bigger, but then again, you're navigating with the Senate, and it's not like you have 60 progressive Democrats. You have, at one point, like 51 with Joe Manchin. So I think it's challenging to get policy across when you're working within the limitations. And it's a white tent. You know, not everybody is of that same opinion, so there's going to be divergent opinions, some more progressive, some more central. So I think the IRA would be, by and large, what I would be for. Otherwise, you know, I think just his appointments, like with Department of Interior, with the first, you know, indigenous person leading, you know, the Department of Interior, I think that's important.
When poll after poll, Donald Trump is winning. Why do you think that is?
I mean, I think there's just kind of a collective amnesia of how bad the Trump years were. And I think it's just difficult to come across in a fragmented, you know, political environment. I mean, I think media in general is kind of like center-right leaning. So it's difficult to come across a fractured media environment.
There are a lot of voters, particularly in Michigan, which has a large Muslim population, that are refusing to vote for Joe Biden. What would you say to them to persuade them to vote for Biden?
It's not, if they think it's really going to be better under Trump, if he's going to help the Middle East, they're misinformed. It's a tricky situation. I understand why they're upset, but in the long term, I don't think Trump is going to make it any better. He's going to basically let, you know, I don't want to say wackos, but the wackos in the Middle East run amok.
So you feel Donald Trump will not leave office if he wins?
He's already tried not to leave office. If he has more people on his side, which he's been working for 4 years to do, he will not leave office.
What brought you out to Pod Save America?
I just want to see the current state of affairs since our country is in a very difficult time at this moment. And I just want to concern myself on how this country's going to go in the right direction. And also, I've kind of seen some of the podcasts, and I'm interested to see what they're going to say tonight.
Okay, are there any other channels that you watch, like political channels?
I watch Colbert, Jon Stewart, John Oliver, like weekly in the mornings.
Are you going to support Joe Biden in November, or are you undecided?
I'm supporting Joe Biden because Donald Trump ruined the country for almost all Americans, and if people don't decide that, then it's America. They can decide who they want to run this country.
All right, so now why do you think that Donald Trump is winning in almost every poll?
I think he's winning in almost every poll because polls don't mean squat until people go out to vote. But most of the people who are supporting him are rich Republicans that try to pour in a lot more money to their cause, whereas Democratic leaders want to spread the cause to a more moral sense of duty. So the polls don't mean anything until people go to vote.
Do you feel the economy is doing well or doing badly?
I feel the economy is doing well in my profession. I can understand why other people may not think that, but if people...
Could I ask your profession?
I work in wholesale. We supply people who make uniforms and clothing apparel. It's not the biggest industry in the world right now since everything's made overseas, but generally I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Okay, all right. So why do people think the economy's bad?
I think people think the economy's bad because half the people nowadays don't want to work hard for a living. They want to work at home as per se and to enjoy little things in life and not work hard at all. But in most day-to-day sense, if people want to make a good living, you have to really work hard for it. And there's no way to make an easy buck. Even though in the trends today of social media think you could be a YouTube vlogger or a star, there have been signs that show that lifestyle isn't always successful to every single individual in media. So in my opinion, The economy is doing fine, and as long as you're willing to work hard, let's say an 8-hour day at least, or whatever your preference is, you should be happy with what you have.
All right, so do people think the economy's bad because they don't want to work hard?
In my sense, it could be true, or there's some other outside alternative like detail in their life. Maybe they have a rough work life, they have some addiction lifestyle, they don't know how to balance out work, play, and like outside activity, but it depends on the person.
All right, now what do you think about people who say they're not going to vote for Joe Biden because they don't like his position on Palestine?
That is a factor that I am totally against, being of the Jewish faith. I'm not a super Jewish faith person that believes in that, but the conflict outside of the United States is a factor that Joe Biden wants to defend his allies. And also, it's not his war, it's Netanyahu's war. All Joe Biden do is supporting munitions to the war effort. It's his right, it's a U.S. ally. You can't just abandon a democratic nation. Because a terrorist group wants to annihilate a democratic nation. It's almost like Israelis 9/11, because it could happen. It could have happened in any other part of the world too, and it's happening in Ukraine as well. So what's the difference?
All right, what brought you here to see Pod Save America?
Well, I've been a longtime listener since high school. They were probably one of my first news podcasts when I was like a freshman in high school, and it really just got me interested in politics and all things about American politics in general, and I feel like I've learned so much. So I've been living here in Brooklyn now, so I thought no better time than today to come see them live.
All right, do you watch any other channels?
Yeah, I do listen to The Weeds by Vox, and of course The Daily on New York Times, NPR podcast. I feel like just like the regular rotation, BBC, but Economist.
Are you planning on supporting Joe Biden for president?
Yes, of course.
And you?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I might not vote, so yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, now why?
Well, just like neither party I'm really loving, so that would be why.
Okay, all right, so now Pod Save America seems like they're pretty pro-Democrat, but you're not, so that doesn't bother you?
No, I would say that I definitely prefer Democrat over Republican almost every day. But it's just, I don't know if I want to go quite out of my way to give my direct support to the Democratic Party, but yeah.
Okay. So what about Jill Stein, for example? Would you vote for her?
No, I would definitely vote for Joe Biden before anybody else, because that would be, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you'd sooner not vote than vote for Jill Stein?
Yes, 100%.
I'm highly supportive of Biden. I think the press gives him a really bad rap. I think he's got a lot more accomplishments, and if people knew his record a little bit better and all the things that he's accomplished, he would have much higher approval ratings right now.
Okay, so what are your favorite Joe Biden policies you feel people don't know about?
Infrastructure bill, Chips and Science Act.
I would say my parents, one huge thing is like they have still had student debt my whole life, and just these past couple months, like it's been completely forgiven for them. And they had probably like 60, 70,000 each in student loans.
That make them decide to vote for Biden?
No, they're closer to it. They might this next election, but they're still pretty. At least my dad is still pretty into Trump, but they definitely have more respect for sure because they saw like something physical and actionable that directly affected them getting done.
Okay, but do they like Trump?
They do, yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't enough money.
I think it's mostly they just like how Trump speaks simply. You know, he doesn't seem like he's hiding anything like other politicians.
Right.
So even though like there's not something physical maybe that they can point to that Trump has done for them other than during his administration, like yes, gas prices were lower, things were cheaper, but maybe that doesn't have anything to do with Trump specifically. Like maybe it has things to do with the war in Russia, with COVID, like larger things that was outside of like just the president's control. But they still think that they will support him. Yeah.
All right, now a lot of young people your age, I'm assuming you guys are young, you look pretty young, are very angry at Joe Biden about his Gaza policy. And some are saying they won't vote for him under any circumstances because of it. What do you think about that?
I think that's valid. Yeah.
Okay. And what about you?
I mean, I think there's only so much within his control. Like, you know, he's not in charge of Israel. So he's kind of in a lose-lose situation. It's just the terrorist attack was really bad timing when he was already struggling with popularity.
All right, so who is your favorite journalist?
I don't know, I really like Jake Tapper.
Julian Assange just got out. Do you feel that he was a political prisoner or was he a traitor to the country?
Undecided.
And you?
No comment.
No comment?
I'm like going through a security clearance right now, so.
What brought you out to see Pod Save America?
Charles?
Oh, you took because you listened
I got
to
the
them.
tickets. I listened to them obsessively. Crooked Media, all strict scrutiny. Pod Save America, Pod Save the UK. So I listened to all of their broadcasts.
All right, so who are you supporting in November?
You want to take a guess?
Well, you know, I don't want to assume.
Okay. Joe Biden.
Okay, now why?
Because he is a sane Democrat and he's done a great first term as president, and the alternative would be total chaos.
Why do you think that Donald Trump is winning in most polls?
I don't think he is.
You think the polls are wrong?
I do think the polls are wrong.
Now, historically, he's tended to outperform his polls. So why do you think it's different this time?
I do not believe that he is doing better with African American voters or that he's doing better in the polls. I think it's a little bit of a polar coaster kind of spin, probably amped up by the Republicans.
Now, what policies has he had do you feel that he's not getting enough credit for?
Who?
Biden. Yeah, not Trump. Yeah.
I would say the reduction in medication, insulin, the attempt he made at reconciling the Democrats and Republicans around border control that he didn't get any credit for. And what else?
NATO.
Thank you, Charles.
What about NATO specifically?
He's held NATO together.
Okay.
Good point, Charles. Yeah.
Do you feel the economy is doing well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
So why do so many people think it isn't?
Inflation is still a bit high.
And a lot of people don't have, retirement investments in their 403Bs, which has been doing very well in the last 6 months to 8 months.
Julian Assange just got released. Do you feel that he should have been released? Was he a political prisoner or was he a traitor?
I don't really have an opinion of him one way or the other.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sort of tired of the Julian Assange, news.
Okay.
And I'm glad he's home in Australia. The Aussies can deal with him, and then he can pay them back all the money for his flights.
Okay. And what about you?
I don't know anything about Julian. I don't know. I didn't even know he was released, so I don't have an opinion on it.
What do you say to people who say they're not going to vote for Joe Biden because of Gaza, because of his Gaza policy?
I say they should take a second look at that and think about what would happen under Trump. Not only with Israel and Gaza, but with Ukraine and Russia.
There you have it, folks. That was the scene here. The economy is good. People don't realize how good they have it. Joe Biden is doing a great job, and he's not getting enough credit. Julian Assange may or may not have committed crimes. It's good that he's out, but he might have gotten what he deserved, but I don't know a lot about that anyway. Rachel Maddow is the greatest journalist in America, along with Jon Stewart. And and John Oliver. John Oliver came up a couple times. So that is the story here at Pod Save America. The problem is not with Joe Biden. The problem is not with the Democrats. The problem is with you, my friends. The fault lies not in Joe Biden, but in the voters. That is the story here at the Pod Save America live show, which these people mostly didn't remember what they paid for, but the common answer was about $100 a ticket. So, I don't know. We're all doing something wrong.
Please clap.